I snitched on my best friend and destroyed her life. I'd do it again tomorrow. She found me by the lockers before first period, and her face was twisted into something I'd never seen in 15 years of friendship. You went to the counselor about me? Madison's voice cracked, but her eyes were pure fury. I opened my mouth to explain, but she wasn't finished. They pulled me out of class in front of everyone. They called my parents. They're talking about expulsion. People were stopping to stare and whisper, but she didn't seem to care anymore. We've been best friends since kindergarten, and you snitched on me like I'm some criminal? I tried to reach for her arm, but she slapped my hand away so hard it stung. I told you things I never told anyone else. I trusted you with everything. Her voice dropped to something quieter and somehow worse than the yelling. You're pathetic and jealous, and I hope you're happy now that you finally ruined my life. We're done forever. She turned and walked away while everyone watched, and I let her go because I couldn't explain myself without making everything worse. 3 months earlier, Madison was still my best friend, and nothing was wrong yet. We'd been inseparable since she shared her animal crackers with me on the kindergarten bus, and I thought that's just how it would always be. But then she started hanging out with these older kids who smoked behind the gym, and suddenly I wasn't interesting enough to sit with at lunch anymore. They're just more mature than you, she told me when I asked what happened to our Friday movie nights. You wouldn't get it because you're basically still 12. I told myself it was a phase and she'd come back around, but then she started lying to her parents about where she was going and showing up to school with new jewelry and clothes she definitely couldn't afford on her allowance. I tried asking about it once, and she rolled her eyes so hard I thought they'd get stuck. Why are you so obsessed with me? It's honestly embarrassing. So I backed off because I didn't want to push her away completely, but I couldn't stop noticing things, like how she'd disappear for hours and come back smelling like cigarettes and something chemical, or how she'd get random texts that made her leave immediately no matter what we were doing. I tried one more time after I saw her climb into a black SUV with a guy who had to be at least 25. Who was that? I asked her the next day, and she grabbed my wrist hard enough to leave marks. You need to stop watching me like some creepy stalker, or I swear I'll never speak to you again. That should have been enough to make me quit, but then she asked me to tell her mom she was sleeping at my house on Saturday when I knew she wasn't. Just this once, she begged, and something in her eyes looked scared underneath all the attitude. Please, I need you to do this for me. I said I couldn't lie for her, and she called me a useless coward and stormed off. I barely slept that night because I kept thinking about news stories where kids get mixed up with the wrong people and end up missing or dead or locked up for years. The next week, I was walking past the parking lot after school, and I saw Madison taking a backpack from one of the older guys by the SUV. He grabbed her face and said something that made her flinch. Then she nodded fast, and he let go. When she turned around and spotted me watching, her face went white as paper. It's not what it looks like, she said quickly as she walked toward me. Then what is it? She clutched the backpack strap so tight her knuckles went pale. I'm just holding on to something for a friend. It's nothing. You need to mind your own business for once. But her hands were trembling and her eyes were wet, and I knew she was in way deeper than she'd ever admit. I went home and stared at my ceiling for 3 hours trying to convince myself it wasn't my problem. Then I walked into the counselor's office the next morning and told them everything I'd seen, knowing that Madison would never forgive me and knowing I was about to lose the only real friend I'd ever had. Friday night, my phone started blowing up with texts saying, "Turn on the news," and "Are you seeing this?" 8 arrests across town, 3 minors charged as adults, 1 kid in the hospital after trying to run. Every single name was from the parking lot crew. The guy with the SUV was 27 with prior charges, and they found thousands of dollars worth of product in his apartment. Someone was supposed to make a delivery that night to a location under surveillance and take the fall when everything went wrong. I thought about Madison with that backpack, about how she begged me to cover for her that Saturday. Her name wasn't in the article because the counselor had called her parents and grounded her before she could make that delivery. Then the news showed a screenshot from their group chat talking about the new girl and how she was perfect because she's desperate and nobody would believe her anyway. She was never their friend. She was their fall guy. Madison still won't look at me in the hallways, and I don't know if she ever will, but she's safe and she's free, and that's the only thing that matters.